Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. I have so many things to discuss today. It's Super Tuesday. We're going to cover that. Remember tonight, an election night special, yours truly, from 7 to 10 p.m. right here, commenting on what's going on. But, TC, I have some very special personal announcements. First of all, I am the show and tell, TC. And the reason why I'm the show and tell is because
just today,
if you looked yesterday real close, I am wearing the same clothes as I had on yesterday, and there's a reason. I took a nap in them. I got up and worked, and I had so much work to do. I have not bathed or showered. I am wearing the same clothes. I even have no socks on.
Ooh, and I thought that was green water I was
smelling.
So
my breath smells. Can you smell me, Jacob? I got B.O. And the other big news is that I am the Jack Wagon of the day.
What?
I want everybody to know that I get carried away sometimes. You know, part of the greatness of talk radio is the freestyle banter between host and caller, and when you get on a rant and you get going. And Simon Kenton High School, of course, they lost a game. Their basketball team lost a game by 19 points. They were leading by 19 points in the fourth quarter, and they lost. Now, if you listen to the podcast, you will note that I blame the coach. I did not say a single negative word about the kids, nor have I ever. The bottom line is that I support Simon Kenton High School. My sons went there. My sons went there. My stepsons went there. My girls went there. But the bottom line is that I just had a brain infarction. I forgot, that Steve Jarnicki is the voice of Simon Kenton Radio, basketball and football. And I just took off from that fourth quarter thing, and I started expressing a bunch of personal opinions about a few individuals that I should have just kept to myself. And I posted some stuff on my newsletter and my blog and Facebook, all of which I've taken down. And I want to apologize to Steve Jarnicki. Here he is, the voice of Simon Kenton, and I'm bashing the athletic director and the head basketball coach. I should have just kept my personal opinions to myself. By the way, the station hasn't required me to do it. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. So I apologize to Steve Jarnicki, and I want to apologize to all the Simon Kenton fans out there who heard wrongly that I bashed Simon Kenton's program, their kids, or anything else. Nothing is further from the truth. I challenge anybody to find a comment in a blog, newspaper, Facebook, or a podcast where I did, because I didn't. Cody Chambers, I've known his parents since he played basketball with my son. The Barnes, the friends of the family, dear friends of the family. In fact, Terry Barnes actually called me up because somebody told him that I had said something about the kids. And I talked to Terry, and Terry's fine. Oh, the Barnes families are dear friends of mine. Are you kidding me? I ain't going to say anything about the Barnes kids. So anyway, I just want to apologize to Steve Jarnicki and Simon Kenton Nation. So, for getting carried away, I am absolutely a jackwagon. So I'm now TC, it seems like a pretty simple rule that a talk show host shouldn't bash an advertiser.
Yeah.
Pretty basic.
Well, you know, a guy.
You know what though? I don't know who all our advertisers are. I've asked for a list because I'm never going to say. You know what? I want to say something bad about John Bick, but I'm not going to ever again. I love you, John. That was a joke, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, that was a joke. John's a good guy.
John's a great guy. Yeah. He's going to be calling in every Thursday at 8:30.
You know, you have to be very, very careful. Even in situations where, and I heard this years ago, and heaven forbid that there's a plane crash or something like that, but of course the news would have to report something like that. If you notice, if there are any airlines that are advertising, they'll pull those ads for the day.
Right. Yeah. And you know what, TC, here's the problem. And I want to thank the radio station for not overreacting and generally being supportive. They didn't even say I had to apologize. They said, hey, just don't talk about it anymore. But here's the thing. I'm naturally a rebel. And as a lawyer, I'm a rebel. So I'm not used. I mean, I'm just trying to explain it. I'm not used to this kind of atmosphere where I got to be more careful. And I just got to learn to be more careful because you know what? We all have bridles. You know, we like to think that we have freedom of speech, but guess what? If you work for an employer, the employer's not going to let you bash them.
Right.
I mean, so the reality is we all have to have restrictions on our speech to some extent, and that includes even the Bulldog. You know, I'm actually envious, I guess, of the person that, like, has no job, has plenty of money, doesn't have to answer to anybody, and can say whatever the hell he wants, whenever the hell he wants. I mean, pretty liberating. You know what I mean? That would be pretty liberating.
I had a great aunt like that.
Did you?
I did. When her husband died, and she joked about it, she said at the funeral she was crying with one eye and counting the money with the other.
Now, that's funny. I also, I'm going to jack wagon up George Will. I told him to go shut up and watch a Cubs game, his comments about the Republicans. Now, Oracle status, I'm giving Oracle status to the entire state of Ohio for the attention you're going to get, and also for Steve Jarnicki. I'm trying to make up with Steve Jarnicki by giving Jarnicki Oracle status. Now, I'm going to go with the feel-good song right out of the bat. It's only a 2-minute song. In honor of Simon Kenton Nation and Steve Jarnicki, the feel-good song of the day is the Beach Boys, Be True to Your School.
Yeah.
No matter what school you belong to. Pretty good selection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey! We all got to eat crow sometimes. That's a good song.
They had nice harmonies.
They did. What do they still? Does Mike Love? Can he still hit those same?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, I've not like analyzed their concerts or whatnot, but boy, they could hit it. Al Jardine, they're reunited. They had lawsuits against each other. Jardine,
really?
Love, they were suing each other.
You're kidding me? Why?
Over control, music, all that stuff.
Everybody knows Brian Wilson was the brains behind that. These other guys were his backup band.
Absolutely.
You know?
You're right. He's the one that wrote them all.
Yeah.
He's the one that wrote them all.
He was the genius.
All right. Well, we got that out of the way. I got some more big news to announce, and that is not only did I mention the Real Talk 1160 AM election night special tonight, the comedy show in Pendleton County Thursday is canceled out of respect to the victims of the tornado. You know, I don't feel like going to – it was my idea. I don't want to go to a comedy show, right after the hurricane or the tornado. Also, we have an expanded audience. My newsletter list continues to grow, and I'm excited about the volume of people that we're interacting with continues to grow. I don't know how we missed this. Yesterday, folks, in history, the Boston Massacre. Man, I can't believe we missed out on this day in history. We missed the Boston Massacre. This day in history, big day. 1836, the Alamo fell after a 13-day siege. Long live David Bowie and Jim Bowie. Yeah, Jim Bowie and Davy Crockett in the bunch.
Yeah.
There's like 220 held off all those Mexicans. U.S. Supreme Court.
He needed more than just that knife, didn't he?
By the way, it was a bad day for your heritage in history, TC.
Why is that?
1857, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Dred Scott that a slave was not a human being. Is that not messed up? You were considered property.
I remember that. I mean,
That's
not that
messed
I was
up.
there. I remember studying that in history.
That's messed up.
It's constitutionally like that.
Taney. Good old Taney. He was an Andrew Jackson appointment. Sorry, Glenn Beck. Andrew wasn't perfect. 2007, Scooter Libby was convicted of lying, obstructing an investigation. I still think that he got thrown under the bus.
Didn't he, though?
Oh, my God. Really? Karl Rove doesn't go down. Nope. Cheney doesn't go down. Bush doesn't go. Good old little Scooter.
They drew straws. He got the short one.
Terrible. Famous birthdays today. We got two great ones. Shaquille O'Neal and Tom Arnold. How you like that? Big Shaq, who's 39. Doesn't Shaq seem like he's been around forever?
Yeah, he does.
Shaq seems like he's 55.
Yeah, really. He's at, what, 40, right?
Is he retired now? Or is he a backup center somewhere still? Is he with the Celtics?
I don't know. We got to check his tweets and see if he's still working. That's how.
And I like Tom Arnold. I think Tom Arnold is funny.
Smart.
Don't you think he is? Yeah, he was smart. He married well.
You know, see, I have no talent, but I want to be in entertainment. I'll marry Roseanne Barr. That's it.
You're right, because he had no talent.
No,
but he kind of, I still think he's kind of he plays that part of a goofy guy in those movies pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does. He does.
3-day forecast today, high of 58. It's sunny. Wednesday, partly cloudy. History story, seeing red and blue. How much time do we have left? We don't have any time. There's the music.
Seconds.
Hey, guess what, folks? I have a great joke coming up.
Oh,
I'm going to make you laugh. Bulldog humor. This is a great song on Real Talk 1160.
And listen closely for Bill O'Reilly's Talking Points. That'll be coming up at 7:28 this morning. And now let's get back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Go buy something at Robke Automotive in Fort Wright. By the way, at the head of my, there's a coupon at the top of my newsletter. Robke Automotive sponsors my newsletter. There's going to be a coupon at the top of the newsletter. By the way, this is funny. Remember Carrie? You know, she was supposed to put the coupon in the front. It's been in the last part of the newsletter. But we're replacing that. I got to blame somebody. You know, I accept blame when it's my fault. Green water. We got a great green water contribution, TC, from none other than Bob from Aurora.
All right, Bob.
It's Super Tuesday, so don't forget after you hold your nose and vote the Republican that you want to be your next president, then hold your nose again and drink a bottle of green water to calm your nerves. Green water. You can buy it at Queen Quick. Available at Queen Quick. That's a pretty good one, isn't it?
That's it. That's the one for the day.
Well, and while we're still laughing, here we go. You know what? I have to brag. Our humor is being pretty good. And by the way, I want to thank everybody for your contributions. If you got a great joke, email it to me. Because you know what? You can't laugh enough in this day and age. Can you? Humor. It'll keep us alive. A female CNN journalist heard about a very old Jewish man who had been going to the most significant site of the world for the Jewish people, the Western Wall, to pray twice a day, every day, for a long, long time. He would pray and say, oh, Netanyahu, may him and Barack Obama work things out. You know, he prayed things like that. So she went to check it out. She went to the Western Wall, and there he was, walking slowly up to the holy site. She watched him pray, and after about 45 minutes, when he turned to leave, using a cane and moving very slowly, she approached him for an interview. Pardon me, sir, I'm from CNN. What's your name? Morris Feinberger, he replied. Sir, how long have you been coming to the Western Wall and praying? For about 60 years. 60 years? That's amazing. What do you pray for? I pray for peace between Christians, Jews, and Muslims. I pray for all the wars and all the hatred to stop. I pray for all our children to grow up safely as responsible adults and to love their fellow man. I pray that politicians tell us the truth and put the interests of the people ahead of their own interests. Well, how do you feel after doing this for 60 years? Like I'm talking to an effing wall. You shouldn't laugh at your own jokes. That was sent to me by somebody. That is funny. Like I'm talking to him. Oh, goodness. I know you're laughing, Bulldog Nation. Shakespeare, no legacy is so rich as honesty. Boy, that's truth. That's the truth. You know what? Dishonesty always gets you in trouble. It does. Dishonesty. Dog saying of the day. If you are a dog and your owner suggests that you wear a sweater, suggest that he wear a tail. I like that.
Ooh, nice.
Little dog fired back, baby. Little dog firing back. You know, what the heck? Are you ready for some pop culture, folks? I'm sure you are.
Certainly we are.
Congratulations to Nick Lachey. He and his wife, Vanessa, are expecting their first baby.
All right.
Absolutely. There's somebody out there in Bulldog Nation that I know. I hope they're listening. I know they're going to be upset about that. Little inside humor. City Beat sold to a Nashville company. I like to hear that because of some plans that we got going on. Government Waste Point. The backers of a museum for government waste is applying to see if the government will fund the museum in hopes of making their point. That would be hilarious. if they get government funding for the Museum of Government Waste. China's new hit show. This is a great idea. I know it's morbid, but by golly, somebody's going to do it now in America. They interview death row inmates. That would be interesting. I have to admit, I would watch that train wreck.
Yeah.
Why? Wouldn't you watch an interview of a death row inmate?
Now, how would they? Yeah, I probably would.
Here's the thing, though, about in China, they're probably sentenced to death because they had a boy or they had a girl. You know, You're only supposed to have boys, and they didn't abort, and they had a girl. You sentenced to die.
Yeah,
there's some harsh stuff. I bet you get the death penalty in China for some things. Here you'd get 5 to 20.
Now, do you think right? Do you think you get the real story?
That's a good point too. Do you get the real story? An impersonator dies. Steve Bridges, who impersonated Bush, he did a great job on Bush.
That guy was great.
By the way, he switched.
He died?
He's only 48. He switched to doing Obama too.
No way.
Yeah, I mean the same guy. I mean he was like, my God, he can do both of them. He went with the flow.
That's pretty good.
But he did a great Bush. In fact, they had that one famous Fox News played some clips of him where he was standing next to Bush.
Yeah.
And he was doing Bush while he was standing next to Bush. Oh God, it was funny.
He
had those mannerisms down, you know?
He did one of those celebrity roasts, didn't he?
Yes.
Oh, my
That's
gosh.
what it was. Oh, it's great.
That guy is hysterical.
He nails his syntax, his hand gestures, his just like Will Ferrell did. Will Ferrell did that whole comedy show. Remember when he played Bush? He did an HBO special where Will Ferrell played George Bush, and Ferrell nailed Bush.
Now, who do you think on the Saturday Night Live crew who do you think they want to get the Republic? Who's going to be the one that's the most fun to imitate?
I think gosh dang, they can make fun of anybody.
I know.
I mean, okay, you know what?
Chris Farley did
Romney
did Newt years ago.
Well, they can make fun of Newt. They can make fun of Santorum and all of his social conservative and Ron Paul. But I think it's Mitt Romney. And here's the reason why. Look at the things that they can make fun of Mitt. Okay, his money.
Yeah.
His 5 boys. I mean, you watch. Well, they already did this. They had this week, I think they had 5 guys dressed up as Romney's sons.
Oh, really?
I think they did.
Are they all name tagged?
They all name tagged. No, he's the one with a weird name. But, I think Mitt Romney's an easy target.
Yeah, he is.
The caricature artists, the cartoon artists, they liked making fun of Newt. They said he was pretty a big boon, because he's a little chubby. And
right.
Movie snacks. Now, I'm not making this up, folks. Some dude has filed a class action against movie theaters for their snack prices. Note, just smuggle. If you don't like them, smuggle. I've smuggled. Have you smuggled?
Well, I wouldn't admit that on the air.
I'm admitting it. I've smuggled.
All right, if you admit it, then I admit it too.
But you know what? You do not have to buy those snacks. No. It is robbery. When you go up there and use popcorn, Coke, you get popcorn, Cokes, and candy for 2 people. It's $30.
I know.
I mean, what the hell?
We can't afford to watch the movie. We'll just stand outside when people come out the door. We'll just peek in.
The thing to do, you got to do when you go to a movie, if you don't want to buy the snacks, is you either smuggle or you eat a lot before you come. I'm serious. Eat something.
Yeah.
Stop at McDonald's, get a cheeseburger, and you won't need your popcorn. Sports stunk. I mean, I forced myself to come up with some sports today. So here you go. The Mets owners owe $83.3 million to the Madoff trustee. Ouch.
Wow.
There was a story in USA Today that Washington's pro sports teams have a high rate of turnover. Why? Because the Redskins, the Wizards, the Capitals, and the Nationals lose a lot. NCAA top 4. I'm telling you, I'm struggling. Kentucky's 1, Syracuse 2, Kansas 3, North Carolina 4. Baseball, the Reds beat the Indians 12-7. And the New Orleans Saints worked out Randy Moss. Bulldog note, they may need to work out lawyers.
That's right.
And Lenny Dykstra, the former Philly, 3-year sentence for grand theft auto.
What?
Fraud in some leases. Like he wasn't going up and stealing cars. He was forging documents for leases. Oh. But get this, due to overcrowding, he'll not serve 3 years. He'll get out like right away. I mean, we need to build some prisons, folks.
Gee, not like he's a celebrity or anything, is it?
No. We come back, we're going to give you some updated tornado news. And then we're going to talk about Super Tuesday later, right here on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. Having a good time with you. Remember, email me at eric@ericdeters.com or text me at 859-250-2527. If it's something of a permanent nature or something that I need to remember, I prefer an email to a text because I can print it, I can save it. I don't print texts. 859-250-2527 or eric@ericdeters.com. I want to promote our sponsors: Ace Hardware, Appliance Loft, Aroma Restaurant and Sushi, Cafe Mediterranean, Edgewood Spine and Chiropractic, Gessling Grocery, Grandview Tavern, Horizon Weight Loss, IntelliChoice Insurance, Kurtzman Plastic Surgery, Meyer, Montgomery Inn, Pee-wee's, Reincarnation Auto Body, Ropke Automotive, Snappy Tomato Pizza, Tickets Entertainment Complex, Ultimate Air Shuttle, and Window World. If I forgot one, I apologize.
I think you covered them all.
I think I did too.
Pretty well there.
Remember, Laura Ingram in Your Radio Addiction follows me right here at 9 to noon, followed by Michael Savage from noon to 3, Dennis Miller 3 to 5, and then the other guys from 5 to 7. And tonight, I will be in for a special campaign show from 7 to 10 p.m. I'm really looking forward to it. The best election night coverage on radio in the Tri-State will be here from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Also, remember, you can follow me on Twitter on Bulldog. It's 3 L's, Bulldog. Eric Deters was taken, so I came up with Bulldog. I wish I would have a different name, Bulldog. Also, I write a column for Highland County Press, the Journal News, and I blog and newsletter daily, ericdeters.com, realtalk1160.com, and thebulldogNation.com. Would love to be your Facebook friend, and so would Real Talk 1160. TC, do you got a green water promotion?
Green water, don't be fooled by imitations.
I like that.
Because there are people out there.
I know.
That are trying to.
Right when you get something good going, right when we get the niche, we take the niche, we conquer the niche, somebody comes in and they try to steal it from you.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that we've got the top trademark registration lawyers in the country out there to protect our brand. We will sue you.
Don't buy chartreuse water. It's not the same. It's not the original.
No, it's not even close. Can't believe they try to do that.
Did you see this? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The story about these two guys in northern Kentucky. One guy, I believe, is from Burlington. What was his name? Michael Buckler. He stole or he unlawfully took his cousin's car and then tried to scrap it at a recycling center.
Jeez, oh, Pete.
Can you say to a relative?
I want to tell you something. This is sad. I mean, that's funny, but I'll tell you a sad end of that. I'll tell you why. Heroin addict.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Now, I'm just speculating. I want to slander the guy, but I want to tell you, that is like something that a heroin addict does.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen heroin addicts, they will steal. It's sad, but they just can't help it. I mean, they got to have something.
From their own family.
It's like, okay, there's a huge big screen TV in a family room.
Yeah.
And the whole family is going to notice this big screen TV. A heroin addict will go sell that big screen TV because he's got to have it. He goes, I know everybody's going to miss. I don't care. I got to have it.
Man.
It's sad, man.
Wow.
It's sad, sad, sad. My wife's on the board of the Grateful Life Foundation and Transition Center down in Fort Wright. And I'll tell you right now, it opens your eyes to these boys and girls that go through a lot in recovery. And, you got to go every day. You got to stay on top of recovery. Yeah. Whether you're an alcoholic or you're – and it's so sad because this is something that I've learned that you don't realize. These people that have these issues, that steal, they loathe themselves. The self-hatred consumes them because they hate what they do to the people that love them. Because it's kind of,
can't help what
and
they're
they
doing.
can't help it. You hate to make excuses for them, but I'm sorry, they don't. They're not what they're. Here's a great example. Okay, Lindsay Lohan appears to have gotten her act cleaned up.
Yeah,
man, did she seem different on Saturday Night Live than what she's been appearing in the past few years?
Right.
You clean up your act, it's amazing. But you know what? You got to struggle every day. So my guess is the guy that stole his cousin's car, he's got some bigger issues. God love him.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation, because let's face it, you shouldn't steal and try to scrap your cousin's car.
No, that's probably a good rule of life. Don't scrap your cousin's car.
In tornado news, unlike John Kasich, Steve Beshear asked for federal aid. Obama called Beshear on Saturday, and Obama has pledged a full support for Kentucky FEMA money for the repairs. The state total seemed to be $5.86 million. Thank God it's just that amount.
Yeah. Really.
I'm not going to go through all these because there's so many. If you've got some tornado news that you want to promote, and I'm talking about relief, I don't need another tornado story. I hate to say this, but that's old news now. We just want relief and to help people. On my blog and newsletter, I'm posting everything you need to know from the National Guard coming to Moscow to United Way to Matthew 25 Ministries to other relief efforts. So you can check it out if you don't already get that. The tornado death toll is now 39. 39.
Wow. That's in Kentucky.
No, that's everywhere.
That's total.
That's the total. In legal news, by the way, I am in a federal trial. Started yesterday. It continues today, this afternoon, involving police misconduct. And I am not going to comment on it until it's over. I think that would be inappropriate to comment on it during the trial. But already beginning yesterday, some good stories that I will be able to share. Although, I'm putting myself out there. When I mention that I'm in a trial, then if I lose it, hey, what happened? And I got to admit I lost.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Fraud fines for drug makers, $8 billion.
Wow.
Come on, drug companies. You're making enough money.
Right.
Why do you got to commit fraud? Why do you? Jeez. Female amputee awarded $17.9 million. A Brooklyn woman has been awarded $17.9 million in a lawsuit she filed against the city with a Brooklyn hospital center, failed diagnosis that forced the amputation of both her feet and hands. I could give $17.9 million to somebody who lost both feet and both hands.
You'd have to.
Can you imagine? That's sad.
Yeah.
BP's reaching a settlement, $7.8 billion over the Gulf of Mexico. Ouch.
Yeah, and I don't think they're finished yet. What does the government get out of that?
Yeah, this is more local news than legal news, but I have to share it with everybody. I got a client who came to see me that I got to talk to and follow up. Do you know that Cincinnati requires a dance license?
A dance license?
A dance license.
I mean, if I wanted to dance, I'd have to have a license.
No, if you let people dance in your bar,
okay.
You got to have a dance license.
No, I didn't know a dance license.
That's messed up. You figure a liquor license would cover that. No. The city requires a dance license.
Don't tell me that someone's getting fined because they didn't have a dance license.
Yes.
You're kidding me.
I spoke to a potential client who was not only fined, he had to file a lawsuit.
That is incredible. Okay, now what if the patron just tapping their toe?
That you hit the nail on the head of why it's so messed up. Define dancing.
You got the head going back and forth. I'm sitting down.
Exactly.
But, snapping my fingers.
You hit the nail on the head right there.
That's the most ridiculous. Wow.
It is ridiculous. In world news, Netanyahu says he reserves the right to strike Israel on his own. And Obama says, I've got Israel's back.
Yes.
Bulldog note, Obama may shoot him in the back. I wouldn't trust Obama saying, we got your back. In Iraq, there's reports that the Al-Qaeda is attempting to come back there, typical stuff. John McCain, he can't help himself. He says airstrikes on Syria.
I love John McCain.
You said something, TC, off the air. Tell the American jury what you said. It's funny and it's true.
Here's a guy, he's just like Carson Palmer. I mean, he's banged up, he's bruised, and he's never won. He wants to win just once before he retires.
One war, one election of significance. He just want to win.
Yeah, let me just go kick
I want to
somebody.
win something.
Just once.
How about this? In Yemen, 107 die in an Al-Qaeda attack.
Wow.
107. In science, the Bulldog has science today. Sleep loss in children. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, snoring and sleep-related breathing issues are linked to behavior problems in children. Bulldog note. That makes sense. And lack of sleep makes us all grumpy.
Yes.
Not just kids. Health. According to the American Heart Association, only 12% of American adults practice good nutrition, exercise, and oral care. Other than one bad habit he has, TC is one of those 12%.
Which one?
The guy eats oatmeal. He's fit and trim. You could probably go run a marathon.
I don't know. I'd be sucking air after that.
Now, here's a key thing that I ask everybody, and my wife got me hooked on this. And once you get hooked, it's like, man, I have to do it every day. Do you floss?
You know what? I don't, but I have, the little water pick thing.
A water pick? Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And do you have tight teeth? Some people have such tight teeth, they don't need to floss.
I used to. I've got a couple of bad ones, and I just never did anything about it. So
here's a health tip for you, folks. If you floss, you reduce your risk of heart disease and heart attack significantly because the gunk in there helps lead to heart problems.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know about you, but when I floss, it's amazing the bad breath that comes and then you brush your teeth. I flossed, didn't brush my teeth. And it's amazing. It just proves that not flossing can give you some bad breath because the stuff that's stuck in your teeth.
Yeah.
Gaming is good for you. From the Wall Street Journal this morning. This is incredible. This is what this study showed. If you are a gamer, that's right, video games.
Yeah.
Sharpens decision-making, speeds thinking, improves focus, boosts creativity, boosts brain function, enhances motor skills, helps multitasking. Bulldog note, my son and stepsons will be billionaires and something. You never thought about it, but that's true. When you think about it. Quick thinking, creativity, motor skills.
If we could just figure out how to get them to go to class.
That's right. When we come back, I'm going to ask you if you agree with the irritating phrases that I've made a list of. And don't worry, we're going to get to Super Tuesday on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Hey, yeah. Great history story, folks. Currently, with modern technology, tornadoes are easy to identify. In July 1643, Governor John Winthrop described a wind gust that could have been one of the first recorded tornadoes in history. Winthrop was conscious of the weather, recorded there was a sudden gust in northeastern Massachusetts and coastal New Hampshire. According to Winthrop, this gust blew down many trees, filled the air with dust particles, lifted up a house in Newbury, and killed an Indian. Because there was no weather technology then, we have no way of knowing whether this gust was a true tornado or not. The issue is that could have been the first recorded tornado. We don't know. Irritating phrases for me. I made a list. I don't know why I did this, but this morning I just said, you know what? I gotta read, and I'm wanting some input from you on my Facebook blog and newsletter. And don't worry, folks. Politics is coming up after this little section here. Here are the most irritating phrases for me that I hear over and over again: homeland, harm's way, crony capitalism, plain politics, flip-flop, private sector, the next level, above my pay grade. And this is number 2, phone tag. Hi, Eric. This is Jim playing phone tag. And then, of course, number 1, it's been voted number 1 year after year, is whatever. The phrase whatever.
Yes.
Because that's really saying F you without saying F you.
You're right. You're right.
And you know, my wife pointed that out to me.
Now, see, it's different, though. Between two guys, it's like, hey, where do you want to go today? You want to go to Frisch's? You want to go to Snappy's? Whatever. Doesn't matter, okay?
Great point.
So it's inconsequential. However, if you're having a conversation, if you're saying to your wife, you know, Barack Obama, this, that, and the other, and she's like, whatever.
You hit the nail on the head. It means something different between guys.
Yes, yes.
Good insight, TC.
When a woman says it, you feel like you're banging. You feel like you're talking to an effing wall.
You're right. Irritating practices. People who call and don't leave a detailed message or voicemail while they're calling. You know, just call me and say, this is Bill. Don't say, this is Bill, and leave me your number. Say, Bill, this is Bill, and I'm calling you because XYZ.
Right.
Ugh, I hate that. And you know there's some lawyers that still don't have voicemail?
Really?
They want to be like old school. We don't have voicemail. I'm like, are you kidding me?
They're losing clients, aren't they?
I would say. I mean, come on. This is 2012.
Got to keep up.
Oh, Ohio GOP. The new poll actually has Romney pulling ahead a little bit.
Really?
Margin of error, it's dead even, but he was down 10. Romney's got all that momentum. And you know what it is, TC? This is sad in a way. It's the money. I mean, I watch TV, folks, local. It's like 10-1 Romney commercials in the tri-state.
Yeah, yeah. And exposure.
I mean, Santorum is getting pounded and pounded and pounded. And it makes you realize, man, the Republicans better ante up in the general because that's what Barack Obama's going to do. Pound, pound, pound.
He says, I need $1 billion, and that'll do it. That could get him elected.
Scary.
$1 billion, we could get Jacob elected.
Ugh. Super Tuesday, primary poll closes at 7 p.m. Georgia, Virginia, and Vermont, 7:30 in Ohio, 8 p.m. Massachusetts, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. Start times for caucuses. Alaska's at 8 o'clock, North Dakota 6:30 to 7:30. The bottom line is, folks, I'm interested. The western states aren't going to make a lot of difference. That's why I'm doing 7 to 10 today. It's going to be interesting. Georgia, we know Newt's going to win. Virginia, we know Romney's going to win because Santorum and Paul aren't even on the Santorum and Newt aren't even on the ballot. The interesting states are Ohio is the big one. And then they say that even Romney's closing the gap in Tennessee on Santorum.
Is that right?
Yep.
Romney?
Yep. Delegates up for grabs tonight, 419. And you know what? Delegates already won. Romney 203, Santorum 92, Gingrich 33. Of course, Georgia's going to give Gingrich a boost in the delegate count. Barbara Bush has voiced her opinion. Is there any of you out there that says, I'm going to change my vote based upon what Barbara says? The answer is no. Historical reminder, no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. JFK won the presidency despite losing Ohio to Nixon. A little fun story there.
Huh.
The last president to win without winning Ohio was JFK.
Really?
Yep. A close Ohio vote was John Kerry Bush, Bush's second election. Bush won Ohio by like 100,000 votes. That's like changing. People put that in context. It's like filling up Paul Brown Stadium and switching their minds.
Wow, that's a good point.
I mean, that's how close it is.
Yeah.
Justice Department's going to have some observers out there as a result of the 2012 debacle on provisional ballots. The Quinnipiac University, Romney 34, Santorum 31. Women are backing Romney 38 to 29%. Conservatives are evenly split. Obama has called a press conference today. Imagine that. Trying to steal the GOP thunder.
Uh-huh.
I would like to have a press conference today to announce that today is Groundhog Day 2 or Beaver Day or Dog Day. I mean, who knows what he's going to announce to try to steal the thunder.
Yeah.
And it won't work.
You know, I was going to tell you, speaking of Obama, it's a good thing that we're honest here because, you know, Sensible Don and I we share an affection for the First Lady.
Yes. Yes,
now,
you do.
If we were to, not that I would ever do this, let's say borrow $1 billion from the Green Water Company, I'd go to the White House and say, hey, Barry. When you got $1 billion, you call him by his nickname.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Barry, listen, you want to get reelected, huh? You need $1 billion. Remember that movie years ago, Indecent Proposal? I got $1 billion, baby. You want 4 years? Give me 24 hours.
You would do that?
No, I said if I were not an honest man.
Okay.
But I did think about it.
By the way, you've raised an interesting question. That's a great question for that late-night drunk debate that Kid Rock talks about in that song. I'm your late-night drunk debate. I love that phrase in a movie. That is a great late-night drunk debate, but we could have it in a morning drive debate.
All right.
$1 million, would you? And there's no way. Somebody offered me $1 million for 24 hours with the wife, I would say no.
Well, you know, back when that movie came out, things were good. I said no, but in this economy, I got to rethink it.
Well, I guarantee you that there's plenty of guys and women that would say, knock yourself out.
Exactly.
By the way, my wife would say no, too.
Would she?
My wife would say no. But I'm sure there's a lot of practical men and women out there that would say, what the hell? But you know what? That movie did such a great job.
Yeah.
That movie did such a great job. It isn't so easy.
I know.
The dynamics.
Right.
After it happened.
The emotional scars.
Did you emotionally get connected? Did you enjoy the connection?
Yeah.
You know, it messed it all up, man.
I know,
and that's the problem. And you know, when you think about it, I always say this, like nobody, when you're valuing a life, because I do personal injury. Yeah. I represent people whose lives are destroyed by death and permanent disability.
Right.
How do you value that? It's very difficult. And I always say this, who would give $1 billion for their kids? Nobody.
Right.
Unless you're a heroin addict. But here's the question. Is it really worth $1 million of money to completely mess up the most important relationship in your life? Hell no. I'm able to do, people wonder why I'm able to do all the things that I'm able to do. I'll tell you one, domestic tranquility.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go along with that.
I don't know how people. I was having a conversation with John Bick about this on the way in. I don't know how we got. I was telling about somebody whose life was in complete dysfunction. I don't know how people. And there's like Pete Rose. He gets told his wife files for divorce, and he goes out. I think he was 3 for 4. My wife files for divorce.
Have you seen his wife?
I'm done for the day. I mean,
Have
you know,
seen Pete Rose's wife?
Yeah, but when she filed for divorce, she wasn't like that.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, but my point is that Domestic tranquility adds a lot. Why mess that up?
Yeah.
You know? That's just my thought.
That's a good point.
But you would, you dog.
I don't know.
And we all know Sensible Don, you wouldn't need $1 million, $100,000 Sensible Don.
Hey, buy me dinner. I'll do it.
Are you crazy, Bulldog? Bulldog, it's just money for booty.
Take the money. That's what he would say, isn't it?
Money for booty. Excuse me. I've posted online, I'm not going to read them off, some parties. I got these from the Enquirer. There's some election night parties if you want to go to a party near you to support a candidate. Super PAC update. Super PAC spending in Ohio since February 24th, $4 million.
Cha-ching.
When we come back, more politics in Ohio on Super Tuesday on Real Talk 1160. This is Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. Remember, tonight, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here, I will be in here live to give an election night report covering everything in Ohio and across the country. Special election night coverage. If you're out and about, tune in right here to Real Talk 1160. Yesterday, we missed an important date. It was the Boston Massacre. And also, on March 5th, Bulldog Nation member John told me that a passenger train on the Cincinnati Southern Railroad departed from Cincinnati, Ohio on its first run at Chattanooga. It arrived on March 8th, and an inspired journalist dubbed the train the Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Is that right?
That's how it got called, the Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Really?
That's according to Bulldog Nation. If he's lying, he's lying. But that's what he told me.
It's a good story.
There's other Ohio races. There's some levies out there. We'll report on them tonight. And also, the Ohio 2nd congressional seat held by Gene Schmidt. There was a heated primary, but apparently the polls showed Gene up big. GOP primary. 31st Ohio House seat, redistricted, held by Democrat Denise Driehaus. 27th Ohio House, held by the GOP's Peter Stoutberg, up for election. There you go. Sandra Fluke, or Fluck? I think, yes, it sounds like Fluke, but apparently it's Fluck. We now have a celebratory taxpayers give me contraceptive spokesperson. I actually asked somebody yesterday, I said, what birth control costs $3,000 a year? The answer was none. And I know this was a big part of Laura Ingram's show that followed me about the hypocrisy and the name-calling from the liberals to Sarah Palin. It cracks me up that Sergeant Schultz wants everybody to disavow Russia's words. Where is Deborah Wasserman Schultz on Bill Maher, his use of words? I mean, they've called Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann. He called Sarah Palin the C word. He uses the T word all the time about Michelle Bachmann, Sarah Palin. Do they ever demand Bill Maher apologize? The double standard that exists for liberals and anyone who can, or if you can claim to be a comedian. Oh, that's okay if you're a comedian. Oh, they're just a comedian. That's okay. Why do they have, And the issue is whether government should pay for contraceptives, not the words used by Rush Limbaugh. By the way, speaking of Rush Limbaugh, I made a list here today, if you were curious. AOL, ProFlowers, Quicken Loans, Sleep Train, Citrix Systems, Carbonite, and LegalZoom are all advertisers who have pulled the plug. Now, here's a question, TC. Will advertisers advertise with Rush and a reverse protest?
No. And I'll tell you why.
I don't think they will either.
No, because they're not protesting in favor of Rush or against Rush. They don't want to lose the female advertising dollar.
Correct.
That's the bottom line. Women spend more money. They do more of the shopping, and advertisers know that. They don't want to offend them.
If I had the cabbage, I would. I would do it just for the extra media attention that you would get. You could have a press conference today. Yeah. Think about this. You could have a press conference today and announce that you are advertising. Now, I got to ask you, what if it's something that the men buy that the women don't buy? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, okay. Maybe. That might work.
I think I heard, for example, the man of the house, sorry, ladies, but I've heard that the man of the house makes the decision on bigger purchases.
Okay.
Like the television set or the truck or things like that. Now, consumer items, no question.
Right.
The guy's not deciding what potato chips to buy.
That's true. But then again, I don't think that if you're going to buy a big screen TV, you're not going to say, "Oh, these guys advertise with him. I'm not going to buy that." You're not thinking that. You're thinking, look at that picture.
We have Prankster wanting to weigh in on the indecent proposal question. Prankster, say something witty or wise.
What if it was a really beautiful woman that wanted to sleep with your wife for $1 million? Sarah Palin or somebody. Would you go for it?
Yes.
Oh, you would?
Yes.
And that involves...
Sorry, double standard. I admit it.
Well, okay.
Sarah Palin wants to pay me $1 million and my wife... done.
What if the...
Here's my whole thing, okay? And I'm being honest about this, okay?
Yeah.
They can't do the things and do the damage and do, I'm sorry. I mean...
Yeah, but you said a while back you could pound it, and you can't hurt them, you said.
What?
You said on the radio a while back.
No. I think he's crossed the line a little bit there.
Yeah, now, okay, I'm a little confused. Now, if Sarah Palin were to offer your wife money to spend the night with you...
Yeah, $1 million, but no, with her. In other words, $1 million for Sarah Palin and my wife, knock yourself out. Double standard. I'm sorry, man.
Different situation,
Different situation.
Huh? Completely.
I mean, I'm going to give you an example. I'll guarantee you that if you asked all the guys out there, if you'd rather come home and catch your wife with male or female, it's going to be overwhelming female.
I don't know if I want to catch her, period.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Ignorance is bliss.
Exactly. Bill Clinton has agreed to join Obama on the old campaign trail. You go, Bubba. Entertainment's coming our way, TC.
Oh, that's going to be great. Bill's going to stab him in the back. I see it coming now.
Do you know the analogy that you stated about, like, how do you define dance?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take that analogy on a very serious worldwide level in light of Eric Holder yesterday defending the use of lethal force on U.S. citizens abroad who are terrorists. I agree with that.
Okay.
To some extent. Okay, Eric Holder, yeah, I agree with you. But here's the rub. Who decides someone's a terrorist? And that's a problem. In other words, TC, you're an American citizen, and they say you're a terrorist, and you say, well, I'm not a terrorist. And they're going to have a hit on you. We want to take this guy out, and you're like, you're in France. Say, wait a minute, I'm not a terrorist. But they've labeled you a terrorist, so it's open season on you. That would be scary. So that's the question. Who decides you're a terrorist?
And how do they determine? I mean, if you send a text message like, oh, I can't believe, the president really ticked me off with that. Does that make you a terrorist?
Right.
Because you disagree with a policy of his, and you put it in an email? How do you decide?
Social networking. I thought this was great. USA today. Ron Paul has 889,000 likes. Rick Santorum only 163. Get it together, Rick. He's the young guy. He ought to be better. Mitt Romney, 1.5 million. Newt, only 291. On YouTube, Ron Paul, baby, kicking butt, 10 million views. Newt Gingrich, 9.3. Romney, 5.2. Santorum, 2.1. Twitter, let's go in order, low to high. Low, once again, Rick Santorum, 1. Come on, he's the young guy. He's got the least amount of Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter followers.
Really? And Rand Paul's up there, huh? Or
Ron Paul is second in follow. Yeah, Ron Paul is number 1 in YouTube, and he's number 2 in Facebook likes.
And he's the oldest guy up there.
Now, get this. In Twitter followers, Romney, 357. Number 1's Newt.
Really?
1.4. Mixed bag all over. Let me see. Newt wins the Twitter. Ron Paul wins the YouTube. Romney wins the Facebook. Santorum is last in all 3 categories.
Now, we've got to break it down and see, okay, what segment of the population is most likely to be on Twitter? Who's on YouTube?
It's a great point. I would say Twitter's guys.
Yeah.
I would say Facebook women.
Okay.
And I would say YouTube young people.
Right.
God, we're smart.
And Ron Paul's got the youth.
Got the youth vote. There you go.
That's interesting.
And he does. The young people like him.
Now, if this guy had money, I bet you he'd get elected.
Ron Paul, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you could break down Ron Paul's campaign in one simple phrase, it's about liberty.
Yeah.
And you got to agree with that, man. More liberty. And like he said, that crosses both party lines. Oh, I came up with this insight today. Because the Republicans on Fox News were talking about, well, it's about liberty, the infringement of Bill O'Reilly was interviewing somebody. It's about liberty. When they're going to get it, it's all about liberty. And I thought to myself, this is very interesting. The Republicans and conservatives claim they're for more liberty. And on all the government intrusion in our lives, they generally are that way. Less regulation,
right,
less taxes, all that. However, it's the liberals that are for more liberty and the defense of that liberty when it comes to our court system.
Oh, really?
Access to courts, right to jury trial. You'll find all those liberals accused of a crime. You got that liberal lawyer defending you,
right,
due process, where your rights violated. Now, I agree with both. In other words, I'm down with the liberals,
okay,
on defending our liberties,
yeah,
in the criminal justice system and the civil justice system, and I'm down with the conservatives when it comes to less tax and less regulation.
Yeah.
But I feel like they both get it right on half the side of the issue, and of course the Bulldog gets it right across the board.
Okay, all right.
But don't you agree that there's a difference in what they think about liberty?
Yeah, I do, and I'm wondering, what about a woman's right to with her body and that?
You see,
pro-choice?
that's the big issue with me, where I fall in the line of conservatives. I say it's the life of the child. I distinguish that. I'm on the side. I say that's not the woman's right. You don't have a right to choose murder. I mean, that's my opinion.
Okay, that's a good argument.
On Real Talk, 1160.
And remember, coming up at 8:30 this morning, the Huckabee Report on Real Talk 1160. Now back to the Bulldog.
My God, I need a shower. I don't even like the way I smell myself.
Take a bath in green water. You might smell better today.
Did you hear about the Donald Trump and George Will flap? George Will went on and he was talking about he was crucifying all the Republicans who are running for president. And you know what? I kind of like with Laura Ingraham. You got to admire these people for getting in the arena and all these jackwagons like George Will, who are talkers and not doers. I jackwagon up George Will, told him to go see a Cubs game. I agree with Donald Trump. I think George Will's commentary is overrated, and I've always been a fan of George Will. But Donald Trump is just jackwagging old George Will up. And I agree with Trump. That's the theme song that TC came up for Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to call this show an anger.
You think so?
I think he might.
You think he's going to pull his
You know who's angry is Rahm Emanuel. His buddy Barack Obama has moved the May G8 summit from Chicago to Camp David.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rahm's not happy.
Yeah, a lot of money leaving Chicago.
The NATO summit's going to remain in Chicago. I'm like, well, the G8, NATO, for the most part, they're the same.
Pretty much the same group, yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to do that. Obama and gun sales. Sean Maloney. What if Sean Maloney call in and tell me why this is? They increased with his election. Now they're increasing at the concern of his reelection. People are like, man, if he's president, I'm going to have my gun to protect myself. Wow. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I was running for president and there were gun sales increases when I was running, I wouldn't feel good about myself. I mean, that's kind of terrible. I'm making people that nervous.
Just remember, Joe Biden is our vice president.
Right. Bulldog note. I have this vision, TC, an apocalyptic moment of irony. All those who supported gun control don't have guns and must rely upon all of those like us with guns for their protection from the government who those without the guns supported and created. Would that be funny? Yeah. All those people, hey, man, I need your help. They're coming to get us. Well, come on in our fort. We got guns.
Yeah,
and the people huddling with you don't have guns, and they're the ones that didn't want you to have guns.
And who would become the president? Those with the guns would be running the show.
Those with the guns.
Yep.
Latest National Gallup poll, Romney 38%, Santorum 22%. Ouch. Newt 15%, Paul 12%. I got a bold prediction to make. Romney is going to beat Santorum in Ohio, and he might just beat him in Tennessee. But even if he doesn't beat him in Tennessee, I'm telling you, Santorum and Paul and Newt can all stay in the race, but it's not going to make any difference. The momentum is going to be all on Mitt Romney's side. He's going to be over 50% to the delegate count. He's going to win this thing. And even Tea Party members are going to start jumping on his bandwagon.
You really think so? Huh?
Oh, yeah. It's over after tonight.
So now, yesterday, Santorum was ahead of Romney in Ohio, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Romney kind of inching his way back up now.
Yeah, he's in one poll. He's 2 points up, which is technically they're dead even.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Now, why such a huge gap nationwide?
Money.
Now it comes back to that.
Well, just think about it. All the neighboring states. Here's an example. Look at all the cities that are near more than one city. So let's say, for example, in Cincinnati. Here's a great example. In Cincinnati, we're bombarded with these television commercials.
Right.
That commercial is hitting southwest Indiana or southeast Indiana and northern Kentucky.
Right.
So in the national poll, that's going to show up at a very positive for Romney.
Okay.
Because of the additional. That's my opinion.
That's interesting. Okay.
So in all these states that they've been to, the collateral states are going to be more pro-Romney because they've been exposed to all the television too.
They've got a bigger region now.
That's right.
Getting there.
In Oklahoma, Santorum leads Romney by 11. And he's asked Oklahoma, because in Super Tuesday, Romney has his home state of Massachusetts. Yeah. And Newt Gingrich has his home state of Georgia. Newt Gingrich, yeah. And Santorum doesn't have a home state for Super Tuesday. Aww. So he's asked Oklahoma to be his super state, home state. How sweet.
They make a beautiful couple.
Yeah. In economics, car sales are up 14.2 million to 15.1 last month. You know, if the economy turns around, there could be a real car boom because the average age of cars is up to like 8 years.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of people needing a new car if we can get the jobs back. Semiconductor sales down 2.7%. I got a funny question to ask you, TC, and I'm not trying to embarrass you because I'm going to admit, and before I even ask you, I have no idea what it is either. What the hell's a semiconductor?
A very short railroad man.
There you go. That's a good one. A very short. Well, the sales of short railroad men are down 2.7%. I didn't know you could sell a railroad man.
He's a pint size,
My secretary, Loretta Little, her husband works for the railroad. I'll have to ask her, Norfolk Southern, how the semiconductor sales are going.
How's that working for you?
Chevy Volt. I know semiconductor has something to do with a computer.
It does. It's something Jacob probably knows.
Jacob, what's a semiconductor?
These guys are idiots. I know this.
He shakes his head. He's just the guy behind the camera. He doesn't know how the camera works except the on and off button. Zoom and unzoom. Chevy Volt. This is too funny, folks. I'm not making this up. The Chevy Volt was named the European Car of the Year. Just yesterday, we hear that they've stopped production. 1,300 people lose their jobs. Is that not irony? Is that not symbolic? Does that not prove the point about Europe?
Yeah. So now what's Chevy going to do?
The car of the year.
Incredible.
And did you hear about this, TC? Everybody's moaning and groaning. Everybody's moaning and groaning about the comment that Newt made that you can't put a gun rack on a Chevy Volt. So there's people out there putting gun racks in Chevy Volts to prove him wrong.
Just to show you.
I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you own a Chevy Volt and you put a gun rack in that Chevy Volt, that's just weird, man. That's just weird. Because people buying Chevy Volts aren't people like me driving F-150s. I mean, that's just weird.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't have a gun rack in my my F-150. I need to get one.
Not yet.
I need to get a gun rack and put my gun up there.
So why don't these 13,000 workers from Chevy just move over to Europe and open up their own car company?
Exactly. Maybe Green Water ought to get in. We're so the Green Water car runs on green water fuel.
I like that. It probably does.
We're gonna have a billion. We're gonna have a $1 billion company one day with this green water. It's amazing. All the options that you have of a water that can make you sick, that you can burn, that you can use as a laxative.
And it will trolley the streetcar or power the streetcar?
Yeah, by the way, folks, we are going to do a show from the streetcar.
Oh yeah. Now we checked with Rob. Thought that was a great idea. We were talking about.
But we're going to do that. But we're going to do the test on a bus.
On a metro bus.
bus.
Yeah, because he's not
April
sure.
2nd. I think we got it scheduled.
April 2nd. Okay. Yeah, and we just going to do the show live.
Right. April 2nd, folks. We're getting the video camera. We're getting the microphone. We're getting everything. We're setting up in the back of a metro bus April 2nd, and we are going to drive the route of the streetcar over and over again to share with you what it would be like to be on the streetcar.
It'll be a test run from when we get the streetcar, and then we can broadcast, and we can actually maybe sell green water on the streetcar eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great.
Maybe we ought to sponsor the streetcar.
Yeah.
Streetcar, sponsored by Green Water.
That's it.
Sponsoring failed streetcars across the country.
We could open up our own streetcar company, call it Desire.
You know what, TC? You forget about all these things over and over again. And you know what I don't get about the streetcar? And when I proposed this, I mean, this is one of my issues with it. And they said, well, no, that's not permanent enough. To get businesses to come in, you got to show them it's permanent. No one will ever be able to convince me different. What they should have done is take some buses, open the bus up like a streetcar, in other words, no windows, rubber tires, or do a rubber tire streetcar like they did in Louisville, which, by the way, has failed too. But why would you not have a rubber tire trolley car thing? Very easy. You don't have to put in tracks. You don't have to put any of that stuff. And you know what? You can test it. You can test it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in other words, the risk isn't so great. Why you go full bore on a streetcar instead of a rubber tire trolley is incredible to me.
I don't understand
and
that.
Why would somebody not ride the trolley? But I'm not going to get on that bus because it doesn't have tracks. I want tracks. I am not getting on that unless it has tracks.
And that's going to bring business, right?
Jeez. We come back. I'm going to tell you a how bad is it story on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. I want to be a cowboy. I'm not making this up, folks. A convicted killer, Anthony Garcia, received more than $30,000 in fraudulent unemployment benefits while in the L.A. County Jail from 2008 to 2010.
What?
$30,000 in unemployment benefits.
Now, how does that happen?
It's just government. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, the government, more government is a mistake. Think about how big Social Security is, how big Social Security disability is, Medicare, Medicaid, the post office, the IRS, all the federal departments, all the regulations, the banking department, Dodd-Frank, Obamacare. I mean, it's so big, it's so unwieldy. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing, the fraud, the waste. It's incredible. It's beyond incredible. It's ridiculous that we accept it, that we don't complain, we don't do enough. Everybody's passive about it. And there's the doers and there's the talkers. There's the objectors. There's the, my wife is married to me, the Bulldog. Pays attention to everything. My wife, she just goes about her day and there's nothing that's concerned to her and she just thinks everything's all fine and that's my wife. So imagine what, the average couple out there that's not listening to talk radio, doesn't watch the news, doesn't read the newspaper. I mean, it's just what's happening to them. And if their life's good, they're not worried about, if two people both have jobs, they're not in foreclosure, they're paying their bills, they're not thinking that the national debt is going to destroy their lives or the national deficit's going to destroy their lives. They're not even thinking about it. No concern to them, not realizing that it destroys all of us. It's amazing. I want to remind everybody that I'm going to be back here tonight from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. To do a show about the election night. We're going to do all the election night coverage. The polls in Ohio close at 7:30. So the polls in the other states like Virginia, which close at 7, and Georgia, we'll be here to discuss, analyze, report. We're going to have some people out there in the field as well. There's also the local elections going on, the levies, everything right here from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. You're going to have the best, really, I think the only political analysis and talk discussion on radio in the tri-state. So you're driving around, tune into me. I'll be on right after the other guys. And I'd like to set the stage. I'd like to take the rest of the show, or at least this segment, to set the stage for you. Ohio, the heart of America. As you've tired of hearing, no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. Ohio has elected a lot of presidents, from Grant to McKinley to Harrison to Garfield to Hayes. I mean, Ohio is a state that has elected presidents. Taft. Bob Taft Jr. ran for president, I believe, Mr. Republican, wasn't able to make it. But Ohio is a state that is the heartland of America. When you think about it, it has its hills, it has its farms, it has its rivers, it has its Great Lakes, it's got Cleveland, Columbus, it's got industry, it's got the steel mills of northern Ohio, northeastern Ohio, the Rust Belt, so to speak. Columbus, it's got the Ohio State University, the first or second largest university back and forth with Texas in the entire country. You know, you've got Cincinnati here, built on 7 hills, with all the diverse neighborhoods, subdivision, urban living, suburban living, rural living. You know, it's state. The state of Ohio is a great example of America's melting pot, all coming together. There's a black population, there's an Hispanic population, there's a working population, all socioeconomic groups. Ohio also is unique in the sense that it's lost manufacturing jobs at an incredible rate ever since NAFTA. Ohio has been hit hard. The Enquirer did a story today talking about the tug of war, and I didn't need to read an Enquirer story to know this, because what's going on in the state Ohio primary is going on around the country. And that is the tug of war between the establishment Republicans and the Tea Party Republicans. In this particular race, and there's some crossover, but you have Greg Hartman from the Hamilton County Republican Party, Rob Portman, your United States Senator, are for Romney, and the establishment here is for Romney. And then you have the Tea Party people are generally for Rick Santorum. He's like the blue-collar Republican candidate. And you've got that tug of war going. You know, Santorum was up in this state like 10 points. Not anymore. The money. The exact same thing happened in Michigan. You know, it just tells you the power of money in these races. And, you know, Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum can come on the air just like, I want to say this, that money's not an issue. We can get our message out through the social media and everything else. Well, the reality is that television box is still the most powerful avenue to deliver a message. I can tell you, because I've worked on political campaigns, I know what I'm talking about. Television is numero uno. And then you can have a debate about the power of radio versus direct mail. Direct mail is very powerful in the sense that it gets straight to you. You know you're going to receive the message. You may throw it in a garbage can, but you're still going to see it. But I can tell you right now, television is the number one media player in politics. Now, it does go behind one-on-one contact. In other words, television can't trump one-on-one contact. Now, let's discuss that. Let me give you the great point to show that. Look what happened in Iowa. Rick Santorum went out to Iowa and camped out. And he basically went around all those counties, meeting everybody, small little towns, meeting everybody. Look what happened. He was able to win. Why? The one-on-one contact trumped Romney's money. Why? Santorum could go around and meet everybody. Plain and simple. In South Carolina, which is a southern state, Gingrich was able to meet a lot of people. You know, face-to-face contact. Look what happened in Florida, folks. You can't go to every cafe and diner in Florida. The state's too big. What happens? Romney wins. Money, money, money. Why? He can reach people through television. Michigan, Santorum had the lead. Here comes Romney's money. Whew, Romney. Ohio is the exact same thing. It is impossible for Rick Santorum to go around the entire... Now, listen, this would be interesting. Just think if every political candidate could meet one-on-one every voter. In other words, Joe and Jane Doe got to meet every candidate one-on-one for 15 minutes so you could decide based upon that interaction. Maybe Santorum would win. In Iowa, he was there. Now, of course, Romney wasn't there. But in these big campaign commercials, in these big states like Ohio, like Florida, like Michigan, like Texas, like New York, the money matters. It's really it's that simple. Money matters. And Romney's got the money, and he's got the establishment. You know, you can win like a dog catcher race in your county or a county commission race or a city council race if you've got the time to go out there and meet all the people. But I can tell you right now, even in this neck of the woods, it's really hard to meet everybody in Hamilton County, all those subdivisions, all those people. Now, if you've been running for office for a long period of time, you can. But the money is what's talking, and that's why Romney is going to win Ohio, why he might capture Santorum in Tennessee. Look at the media markets that he can hit in Tennessee. Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis. Look at that. All those rural counties, well, he doesn't care about. And that TV can go out and hit those rural counties. You look at the national poll, he's up 16. Well, guess what? If he's hitting the airways in Memphis, guess what? He's also hitting Missouri, Tennessee, which is stating the obvious. He's also hitting the states near Tennessee, Mississippi, Memphis. Are you kidding me? Television matters. Now, the reason why this should be a concern to the GOP, and it's why Barack Obama pulled back from his rejection of super PACs. Remember, he pulled back about a month ago and said, I want super PAC money, because he knows the power of television. And there is like 9 swing states, folks. They're going to decide this election. Come on, Obama's going to win California. Look at the amount of money is in the general election. It's going to hit 9 states. It's going to be incredible. We come back, more analysis on Real Talk 1160.
And don't forget Michael Savage today at noon to 3 on Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog, Eric Deters on Real Talk 1160.
I got to interrupt you for just a second. During the break here, I flipped up, and of course, I'm always paying attention to the radio, and I just like to look at Robin Meade. But CNN headline news, she's talking to a guy. He's somewhere in Ohio now, and I think in Cincinnati, as a matter of fact, going over the exact same analysis that you just did before the break. And, exact same things. It's got to get the 66 in Ohio. Then there's Tennessee. And almost verbatim what you just said.
Well, I want to tell you something, TC, and I appreciate that. I crack up. Part of my thing where I say that we elect these politicians to Washington and to the state governments, and people act like that they're smarter than the average Joe. And they're not. They're not any smarter. I want you to know that I get emails and I get Facebook messages from some incredibly smart people that know politics as sharp as any national analyst. It's just a reality. Now, a lot of these people can't communicate it because maybe they're too geeky too, But the reality,
they don't have a microphone.
The reality is, I can tell you right now, I feel comfortable going on any national radio show, any national television show, and I can hold my own with an analysis of any legal issue, any business issue, and any political issue. I know politics. I've been paying attention to it. I'm a student of it. I know it. And, what's happened in this, and this is what's going to go on from tonight, this old Super Tuesday, what's going to go on from tonight is, and Romney has no other way. He switched gears, and he has no other way to approach it. Is like, okay, Paul, Santorum, and Newt, if you're going to be flies on my behind, which with all due respect to the candidates, that's all they are. I'm calling it the way it is, folks. I have supported Santorum at a time. I've supported Ron Paul at a time. I've supported Newt at a time. Herman, I've shifted like most of the people. It's like, you know what? I like what he's saying. I'm going to be for him. And it's just kind of like there's a shifting landscape. Well, guess what? The landscape is now shifted completely. It's Romney's. And guess what? Unlike these other candidates, he's squeaky clean. Sure, you can bash Mitt Romney for Romney Care. But guess what? He doesn't have a mistress. He doesn't have a sexual harassment lawsuit. He hasn't been married 3 times. He doesn't have skeletons in the closet like you and me. He's squeaky clean. So guess what? There's not going to be an October surprise on Mitt Romney. There just isn't. So, because guess what? We would already heard it by now. Trust me, you don't think that the best political operatives have stuck a microscope of Mitt Romney's colon. So tonight, is the beginning of the end for all the other candidates to really win. They can claim that they're going to stay in it to the end. Well, let them stay in it to the end. What the Romney campaign can do after tonight is they can say, we are on our way to achieving the nomination by receiving the 1,100 and some odd delegates that they need for the GOP nomination. It becomes a mathematical impossibility for the other candidates to get the delegate count that Romney has. Romney is going to be so far ahead of them today, he'll be past the halfway mark in delegates that for all intents and purposes, it is going to be over. And you know what being a front runner does, folks, in politics? Do you know what it does? It leads to more endorsements. It leads to more money. It leads to the big momentum. And Romney will have that coming out his ears when he wins Ohio tonight. Eric Cantor, real brave soul, came out yesterday and endorsed Mitt Romney. Well, just imagine the number of people, governors that are holding back, other people that have been holding back, that are going to come out and endorse Romney. They're going to come out of the woodwork. The money is going to start coming out because they can claim that they want to be a player at the convention and they're going to take this all the way to convention. And you know what? I love it when they say that. Well, we're not going to give up. We're going to take this all the way to the convention. Da, 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 da. Well, what happens when the one guy who is funding Newt's campaign, Adelson, the billionaire, says, Newt, it's time. It's going to be time. The one billionaire that's funding the super PAC, the Wyoming billionaire that's back in Santorum, says, Rick, it's time. It's time. It's that simple. You know, I have a good friend in radio that says everybody works for somebody, including me. I work for the radio station. Well, those candidates, whether they like it or not, work for their money backers. You can slice it, dice it, however you want. Money is the milk of politics, someone once said. And you know what? I also agree with Abraham Lincoln, who once said that, you know what? He never trusted a man that didn't have any vices. I love that quote. I was talking to somebody today about how there's nothing that makes you more human than to be a sinner so you can relate to other sinners. It gives you empathy. It gives you compassion towards others when you're a sinner. If you're a self-righteous person who never sins, you're a judgmental SOB. Now you say, Bulldog, what'd you bring this up for? Here's why I brought this up. There's something about Mitt Romney I don't like because the guy doesn't seem to have any vices. He's a Boy Scout. I've jokingly made fun of him being a sissy, but he doesn't appear to have any vices. Let's face it, everybody else had a vice, maybe too many. Santorum didn't have any vices either. Those kind of, he might have had a vice being too darn conservative, but with respect to Herman Cain, Newt Gingrich, sorry, folks, too many vices. But it's all about the money, folks, and the Romney money and the establishment and the support. Do you realize, Kasich has stayed on the sidelines in this? I'm telling you right now, folks, the most powerful person in the state of Ohio. The governor is always the most powerful person. The patronage, the executive is. Do you know who the second most powerful person in the state of Ohio is? Rob Portman. I'm telling you. You could argue Boehner because Boehner's the Speaker of the House. And granted, hey, he's the Speaker of the House, but he's one of 435, and he doesn't do a very good job of controlling them. Rob Portman is one of 50, and guess what? The Speaker of the House is in his state. He can pick the phone up and call old John Boehner. Rob Portman is endorsed Romney, and don't think for a minute that one endorsement with the establishment around the state. Now, I want to give it up to Sheriff Richard K. Jones, the Butler County Sheriff, and Mike DeWine and all these others that have, gotten behind Rick Santorum and whatnot. But trust me, I'm a rebel. I know what it's like to swim upstream. I know what it's like to go against the wind. And I tell you right now, it can wear you down sometimes. You really are fighting the Goliath, which is the Ohio Establishment Party. Here in Hamilton County, for example, you know what? This didn't get, much commentary. They announced when Mitt Romney came to town that he had a fundraiser at the Great American Tower. Folks, who owns, leases, controls the Great American Tower? All of the well-respected, good establishment, financial backers of the Republican establishment in Hamilton County. The Castellinis, John Barrett and the Barrett family, the Lindner family. And guess what, folks? We love them, don't we? Don't we love these well-respected Republican establishment who are our economic pillars in our community? And guess what? They're all for Romney. I make a joke that I'm anti-establishment except for Hamilton County because I got friends in the Hamilton County establishment. Most of all, Joe Deters, who's a dear friend, Hamilton County prosecutor. Okay? I have no reason. Just like I shouldn't bash any advertisers at the radio station, I'm not going to bash Joe Deters and the pillars of the community. They're the establishment, but you know what? They're good establishment. They're good people. They're good people. They're our big employers. They care about our community. And guess what, folks? They're all for Mitt. Santorum has zero chance in Hamilton County with all of that behind him. So there's my analysis. Now, when we come back tonight at 7 p.m., tune in. If you've enjoyed my analysis the last 30 minutes, there's going to be more of that to come tonight as we give the election results. TC, do you think I'm up to it?
I think you can handle it. I think I'm confident that you can handle it.
And, of course, tomorrow morning we'll recap it all again.
Yeah, and then break down everything for you.
Every dog has their day. Today's day is going to be Mitt Romney, the man with a son named Tag, on Real Talk. Go ahead, TC.
Happy birthday to the Oreo cookie, 100 years old today.
I wondered why you had that up there.
Yeah.
We should have played it. On Real Talk 1160.